Hi, now these are my recommendations for some of the events and other festivities that are going on around Germany in July 2013. Now there have been a lot of them. I've had a lot of trouble trying to keep it down to a manageable number, but I think I've just about managed it. So here we go. You may have heard on the news that at the beginning of June parts of Germany were subject to flooding. This particularly hit southern and eastern parts of Germany, especially the city of Passau. So be careful if you're around there. Things should be getting back to normal, but you may still find some disruption. Also, the following heat wave caused problems with some of the autobahns in some parts of Germany. The older autobahns, some of them actually buckled and ruptured in the heat. So be careful there. If you see any speed limits in force, actually keep to those speed limits. Make sure you do, because some of those roads have become quite dangerous. There may also obviously be a lot of construction work in these places. July this year there are no public holidays, but the school year will be ending on the following days in the following states. The 8th in Hesse, Rhineland-Palatinate and Saarland. The 15th in Saxony, Saxony-Anhalt and Thuringia, the 22nd in North Rhine-Westphalia, the 25th in Baden-Württemberg and the 31st in Bavaria. So in those places at those times you may find heavier traffic than normal going to tourist attractions and airports and such. In addition, in the north of Germany, children will soon start going back to school, and as well as increased traffic, then you'll also have young children on their first day at school walking along the streets. There'll be banners going up in these areas telling drivers to please take special care. And that will be on the 31st in Hamburg, and I'll also give you the first couple in August, the 2nd of August in Berlin and Brandenburg, and the 3rd of August in Mecklenburg, West Pomerania and Schleswig-Holstein. So on to the events, and we start off with something called the PyroGames, which is a huge competition for pyrotechnics. They actually put on gigantic firework displays. I think there are 4 teams, and they compete against each other to see who can come up with the most awesome firework display, and it actually tours the country, or part of the country. It will be in Cottbus on the 6th, in Lichtenfeld-Schacksdorf on the 20th, and in Thaler on the 27th, and it will continue touring through August and September. It'll be in Soltau, Rostock, Magdeburg, Erfurt, Gräfenhainichen, Norderstedt, Schwerin and Rüdersdorf. So if you're interested in that, take a look at the website. There's a link to this official website in the video description, as I've also put links to all the events there, all information. You'll find links in the video descriptions. So other events. On the 5th to the 7th in Berlin is the International Barrel Organ Festival, if that's the kind of thing that tickles your fancy. On the 6th in Essen is something called ExtraSchicht. Now, Essen is not the most beautiful of places, an industrial city, but what they do with this thing called ExtraSchicht, they take old factories, these old places of industry, and they use them as backdrops for cultural events, music, theatre, that kind of thing. So that might be interesting to go along to. On the 12th to the 14th in Flensburg is Flensburger Dampf-Rundum. That's a festival centred around the steamboat. So if you're interested in steamboats or steam vehicles of any kind, there are also some land vehicles, but mostly it's steamboats, steamships, some of them very historic. The Flensburger Dampf-Rundum. On the 13th in Kleebronn is the International Falcon Festival, or Falcon Fair, I suppose you could call it. And this is at the Tripstrill Park, where they basically, you can go there and you can see lots of really fantastic birds of prey. They'll be doing demonstrations with them and flying them. That might be interesting. Culturally interesting, from the 13th to the 14th in Burg im Spreewald, very important, it's Burg im Spreewald. There are other places in Germany called Burg. is the Spreewälder Handwerker und Bauernmarkt. That's a market of craftsmen and farmers from the Spreewald area. Now the Spreewald area is to the southeast of Berlin, and it's the people who live there are ethnically actually not Germans, they are Sorbs, and so it's a slightly different culture. So this is slightly different from your normal German thing. The people there, they have their own language, they have their own customs, and so this is an opportunity to go and see them at their best. Also, the Spreewald is very famous for having particularly fine pickled gherkins, among the best in Germany apparently. The 14th and on the 21st is something called the Fischerstechen in Ulm, and this is basically a competition. It's a kind of a jousting competition, except that it's on water. The contestants actually stand on boats and they have to knock each other off the boat. So that sounds like fun. On the 21st in Ahrenshoop is something called the Tonnenfest, and what that involves is having to smash a barrel of herrings. Okay. On the 24th to the 28th is the Weinmarkt in Celle. On the 26th to the 27th, the Wikingertage in Schleswig. See lots of Vikings, or rather lots of people dressed up as Vikings. Very exciting, very interesting. 27th to the 29th in Schuttertal is the Black Forest Lumberjack Championships, which is almost exactly what it sounds like. And finally, on the 27th to the 4th of August in Paderborn is Libori, which is one of Germany's biggest folk festivals and its oldest as well. Well worth going to see. So that's about it. If you have any suggestions for August, put them in the comments.